You won't believe what this tiger gave birth to. Today, we'll see animals that gave birth to truly strange things, from a sheep that birthed a humanoid lamb to a snake with legs in Brazil, and the mystery of the tiger from the thumbnail. We start with the cyclopic humanoid sheep. This event took place in New Zealand. On a farm in New Zealand, a sheep breeder was horrified to witness the birth of a lamb with a human-like face. It had a single central eye, a flattened nose, and a distorted mouth. The animal died a few hours later, but the images went viral, sparking theories about genetic mutations. Others spoke of secret experiments or an alien abducting the sheep, resulting in it giving birth to a bizarre being. The medical diagnosis was cyclopia, an extremely rare congenital malformation that alters the SH gene, which regulates facial development during gestation. It occurs in 1 out of every 16,000 births in sheep. And in humans, it's even rarer, 1 in 100,000. These animals have a 0% survival rate, and cyclopia is often accompanied by anencephaly, the absence of a developed brain. In Greek mythology, cyclopes were one-eyed giants. In 2011, a similar case in India was attributed to pesticide contamination. Some believers linked it to the chupacabras due to its terrifying appearance. Next, we move to the cow and the Lithopedian calf in Argentina. In Rio Negro, Argentina, a cow appeared to be pregnant for years without giving birth. When veterinarians examined it, they discovered a calcified fetus in its uterus, known as a lithopedian or stone fetus. This is a fetus that dies in the womb, but instead of being expelled, calcifies over time like a mummy. The cause of this phenomenon was a failure in fetal reabsorption or retained abortion. Its rarity is 1 in 11,000 pregnancies in cows, with only 300 cases recorded in history. There have also been human cases, like a woman in Colombia who lived for 40 years with a calcified mummy in her abdomen without knowing it. We continue with the two-headed pig from China. On a farm in Jizhou, China, a piglet was born with 2 functional heads. Both ate, drank, and responded to stimuli. The owner kept it alive as a tourist attraction. They were conjoined twins, fused at the head. The main cause is believed to be an incomplete embryo division, or exposure to teratogens, chemicals that cause malformations. A few days later, it died due to heart problems. In ancient Rome, two-headed pigs were considered omens of disaster. The most famous case is Ditto, a two-headed pig from the United States that lived for 18 years, which is almost impossible. In 2020, a similar case in Indonesia was attributed to mercury contamination during the animal's pregnancy. Let's remember that this country is one of the most unhygienic and dirtiest on the planet, so it's common to see malformed fetuses. Next, the shark that reproduced without a male. A hammerhead shark at the Henry Dorley Zoo gave birth after 3 years without contact with a male. It was the first confirmed case of parthenogenesis in sharks. This is asexual reproduction, where the egg develops without fertilization, no sexual intercourse required. The offspring was an imperfect clone of the mother, carrying only her DNA. Sharks may resort to this in the absence of males, but it reduces genetic diversity. This phenomenon of animals reproducing without mating has been observed in Komodo dragons, pythons, and some birds in the wild. Parthenogenesis is an extreme survival strategy. Some scientists believe the earliest sharks on Earth reproduced this way. Next, the snake with legs born in Brazil. A python in a São Paulo breeding facility gave birth to an offspring with a vestigial hind leg. The phenomenon was analyzed by herpetologists, and the scientific explanation was atavism, a reactivation of ancestral genes. In case you didn't know, snakes evolved from legged lizards 150 million years ago. The responsible gene is sonic hedgehog, the same one involved in cyclopia, but with the opposite effect. Though the leg wasn't functional, just a cartilaginous appendage, fossils of snakes with legs dating back 110 million years exist. In the Bible, the serpent in Eden had legs before being cursed. In 2023, A cobra in India was born with scales resembling claws, like a dragon. Next, the cat that gave birth to a squirrel cat in Russia. A domestic cat in Chelyabinsk, Russia, gave birth to a litter where one kitten had an extremely bushy tail and deformed hind legs, very similar to a squirrel's. Incredibly, the animal didn't survive more than a day and died the next. The explanation lies in Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a genetic defect affecting collagen production, causing skin hyperelasticity and skeletal malformations, possibly due to exposure to environmental toxins. The area had high levels of industrial pollution. A glitch in the genes regulating hair growth and bone structure caused this. In 2018, a cat in Turkey was born with two tails due to a similar mutation. Some believed it was a hybrid between a cat and a squirrel, but genetically, that's impossible. We continue with the horse and the parasitic twin. A mare in Texas had an unusually swollen abdomen. After veterinary exams, a deformed fetus was found inside her abdominal cavity, not her uterus. The fetus was partially alive with limited movement, but not viable. A twin absorbed by the other is called a fetus in fetu. As embryonic development progresses, it continues growing inside as a parasite within the sibling's body. This happens when one embryo becomes trapped inside the other and develops primitive structures like bones, hair, and teeth. Only 3 cases have been confirmed in horses in history, and in humans, it's estimated at 1 in 500,000 births. In 2015, a 36-year-old man in India unknowingly carried a 30-centimeter parasitic twin in his stomach, almost the first known case of a man being pregnant. In the Middle Ages, such cases were attributed to demonic possession, divine punishment, or witchcraft and curses. Now onto the thumbnail image. This is the supermom tigress, the most viral case in the world. She gave birth to 29 cubs and greatly contributed to preventing her species from going extinct. Sadly, this tigress died because her intestines were blocked with mud and hair. She was one of the first tigresses fitted with a tracking collar to study tiger cub rearing by scientists. She stood out for her intelligence in protecting her cubs from other animals, being quite aggressive when it came to her offspring. Yet, she was always noted for her friendliness. Tourists would approach her when they heard vehicles on the road, and sometimes she even let them touch her. After her death, she was cremated and given flowers, as if she were a heroine in her homeland. Though she passed, she left a legacy of over 29 cubs that continue to reproduce to keep the species alive. Now, the crocodile with the ghost egg. An American crocodile in captivity in Florida laid a translucent white egg, something never recorded in the species' history. But when they opened it, it was empty. No embryo or yolk. This was a ghost egg, which occurs when the female's reproductive system releases an unfertilized egg that becomes encased in an abnormal shell. The causes of such strange occurrences aren't apocalyptic signs or the end of the world, just stress in captivity, hormonal imbalances, or uterine infections. The lack of pigmentation makes the egg translucent due to an absence of protoporphyrin and incomplete shell mineralization. In the wild, crocodiles only lay white eggs when there's a calcium deficiency. In 2020, a giant tortoise in the Galapagos laid a similar egg but with a gelatinous substance inside. We continue with a dog that gave birth to an alien. A stray dog in Maharashtra, India, gave birth to a litter where one fetus had gelatinous skin, no hair, and oddly sized eyes, resembling descriptions of extraterrestrials. This case went viral as evidence of radioactive mutations. Severe encephaly combined with fetal hydrops malformed the skull congenitally, causing fluid buildup in the body. The causes are believed to be inbreeding, exposure to organophosphate pesticides, or viral infections during gestation. Sadly, fetuses with this condition die shortly after birth. A very similar case in Mexico was attributed to water contaminated with mercury. The movie Alien drew inspiration from designs based on real malformations. In medieval medicine, such fetuses were called homunculi. and were thought to be children of demons. Next, the octopus that gave birth to stones in Greece. A common octopus in an aquarium in Crete, Greece, expelled several small stones covered in mucus through its siphon. Marine biologists confirmed they weren't eggs, food remains, or a mummy. Octopuses do this because they can ingest stones to clean parasites from their digestive tract and then expel them. But their normal mucus, also present when giving birth to a fetus, coats the stones to protect their internal tissues from sharp edges and prevent internal bleeding. In the wild, octopuses use stones to build shelters, but it wasn't known they could birth them. Paul, the famous World Cup 2010 oracle octopus, also expelled strange objects before dying. Aristotle, in his book History of Animals, described octopuses vomiting shells. Look at the dolphin with hands born in Japan. At the Taiji Aquarium in Japan, a female bottlenose dolphin gave birth to a calf with pectoral fins split into structures resembling human fingers. The animal died after 4 days, but images showed articulated bones beneath the skin, an atavism of terrestrial limbs. Dolphins evolved from quadruped mammals 50 million years ago. Mutations in Hox genes responsible for limb development can reactivate ancestral traits. Its sequence revealed a mutation in the FGF8 gene, crucial for fin formation. Only 2 cases have been confirmed worldwide. In 2022, a wild dolphin in Turkey was spotted with keratinized nails on its fins. Fossils of Parasitic, a dolphin ancestor, show legs with hooves. In Greek mythology, tritons were human-dolphin hybrids. We continue with the tarantula that birthed silk with Wasp DNA in Brazil. A Goliath tarantula in a São Paulo breeding facility produced a silk cocoon with unusual proteins. Analysis revealed traces of parasitic wasp DNA, despite the spider never being stung. The wasp may have injected genetic material into the tarantula's ovaries during a failed parasitism attempt. The spider's polymerases accidentally replicated the foreign DNA, incorporating it into the silk, the first evidence of arachnid chimerism. These wasps paralyze tarantulas to incubate their larvae inside them, creating zombie spiders. The modified silk was 40% stronger than normal. Next, the shark that gave birth after death. A 4-meter giant hammerhead shark was accidentally caught by commercial fishermen 32 kilometers off the bay. When brought aboard, it was already dead from asphyxiation. 47 minutes after its death, rhythmic uterine contractions began, expelling 4 live 60-centimeter pups. This is the phenomenon of ovoviviparity. Hammerhead sharks store viable sperm in specialized oviductal crypts for up to 4 years. Post-mortem acids activated proteolytic enzymes, inducing contractions that allowed the shark to give birth even after death. One pup named Phoenix survived 63 days at the marine lab, feeding on residual uterine milk and autocannibalism by consuming necrotic placental tissue. The shark's uterus maintained a stable temperature 12 hours after death. The pups had modified gills to breathe atmospheric air for 8 minutes each hour. See how a living body can evolve simply to survive. We continue with the Komodo dragon that cloned its prey. A 3-meter female devoured an adult male Timor deer. 2 years later, she gave birth to 3 offspring with hooves, multi-chambered stomachs, and a chimeric genome, the first case of interspecies hybridization via cannibalism. The offspring could only digest vegetation and died at 14 months from intestinal blockage. Next, the humanoid lamb from Kazakhstan with anthropomorphic features. This lamb, with ovine human syndrome, had a flat face, a human-like nose, and well-defined lips, almost identical to a humanoid's. Instead of front hooves, it had pentadactyl bone structures, hands. This was due to activation of the HOXD13 gene, responsible for digit formation. This interspecies chimerism showed 0.7% human DNA, possibly from exposure to endogenous retroviruses during gestation, contaminating it with human stem cells from pastures. It was euthanized after 3 days. to prevent multi-organ failure and spare it daily suffering. We continue with the tortoise with a transparent shell in Japan. With 92% transparency in visible light, its amorphous hydroxyapatite structure resulted in a transparent shell, allowing a view inside the tortoise. No one understands how the tortoise's visible organs can be seen, but it's undoubtedly one of the rarest medical cases ever witnessed. Well, dear friend, what did you think of today's video? You know that if you liked it, you can give me your amazing, like without breathing, subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.